when you're speaking from the pulpit or the pew, when you're using a megaphone or when you're texting your friends and your family, is what you're saying coming with a whole lot of theatrics, a whole lot of motivation, a whole lot of agenda, or is it coming from a place of stillness? We are back with another reflection on the daily Vedantic. Sometimes I start these with a bit of theatrics, a bit of marketing, a bit of a hook to get people into the app, and, well, sprinkle a little bit of that here and there within this episode. But this episode is actually on a lot of the lame-ass theatrics that a lot of spiritual teachers throughout history, maybe nearly every street corner where you live, pastors and pulpits, just words. Just tossing words and concepts around. Maybe in some mega church with huge booming sound system and rock and roll band, massive screens. And it always makes me think, and this is speaker included, when talking, I always think about this Schopenhauer phrase: do your words come from silence, or do they come from more words? This concept of his of where do your words come from? Do they come from silence or from more words? Cuts so deep. Certainly for someone using words to describe the divine. But this concept cuts so deep to anything that we, or anything that I do. Is this company that I'm trying to build, right now running 3 companies, founded 3 companies, and I'm not running much, just a team of people. We're all working together. And when I start to think about leaning into founding a company, this concept hits me so deeply of, is this coming from a place of insecurity or a place of worldliness, or is this coming from a compulsion to just do? Are these words you're hearing right now, are they coming from a place of silence? Are they coming from a place of compulsion? Aversion of silence? A strong aversion of silence to the point where we surround ourselves with words. To where we just want more of them. Instead of the deafening and seemingly blinding silence. It is no coincidence that throughout the history of this philosophy, that many sages and saints go off into nature for extensive periods of time of silence. Thoreau, who read the Gita daily, goes off into nature to Walden Pond so famously. And in his words, he said, to live deliberately. Christ and 40 days in the desert before knowing he's going into his death. St. Paul upon seeing the disembodied Christ, the spiritual form, the blinding light, upon enlightenment, the scales fall from his eyes, and then he spends, we don't know, weeks or years in the caves outside of Damascus, just trying to process what he saw before ever picking up a microphone or a pen and evangelizing. About 2 years ago, there was a March for Christ coming down our road here in LA. And they ended at the park about 3 blocks away. And I was walking home from work and I saw it and was curious. I started to ask them, what's this? All this music, I had a band playing, all of these people arriving by foot on this march. And this younger, maybe 20, early 20 something person was walking me through the different stages they had set up. And right next to baptism, little inflatable hot tub for baptism. Can't believe I'm even saying this. Right next to that, they had crash course on a 15-minute crash course right after baptism on evangelism. Talk about worlds apart from weeks or years trying to process what St. Paul was processing. So when it comes to our words and our actions, it might be a helpful thought for you to think through this concept of Schopenhauer's of, do our words come from silence or do they come from more words? Does your art, your approach to a relationship, your parenting, your childing to your parent, your professional pursuit, to your Saturday afternoon side hustle, does it come from silence? From listening, or does it come from compulsion? Does it come from reflection or reaction? When you're speaking from the pulpit or the pew, with the microphone, or texting with your friends, when you're speaking from the pulpit or the pew, when you're using a megaphone, or when you're texting your friends and your family, is what you're saying coming with a whole lot of theatrics, a whole lot of motivation, a whole lot of agenda? Or is it coming from a place of stillness? And speaking of reflection and Schopenhauer, one of my favorite quotes of his on the study of Vedanta, which comes from these ancient texts called the Vedas or the Upanishads. He says, in the whole world, there is no study so beneficial and so elevating as that of the Upanishads. It has been the solace of my life. It will be the solace of my death. One hell of a thought coming from one of the most revered philosophers of the last 1,000 years. And one hell of a thought from someone that emphasized any and all thoughts and words coming from a place of stillness, reflection, and silence. That's today's reflection on the Daily Vedantic. We'll see you next time.